Hello, everyone. I am Emily, and welcome to tonight's deep dive into a truly perplexing aviation mystery. We are going to unravel a story that has wings, but is flying in completely the wrong direction. Buckle up, because this is about to get turbulent. Our story begins with a brand new Boeing 737 MAX, fresh off the assembly line in Seattle. This isn't just any plane. It's a symbol of global trade, a testament to international cooperation in the high-stakes world of aviation manufacturing. This gleaming aircraft embarked on its first journey, not to a customer, but to Boeing's completion center in Zhoushan, China. Think of Zhoushan as the final dressing room for these aerial giants. It's where the interiors are meticulously installed, the paint job perfected, and every detail is polished before handover to their eager owners. In this case, Xiamen Airlines. Everything seemed routine, business as usual in the globalized aviation industry. The 737 MAX arrived in Zhoushan, underwent its transformation, and emerged ready to take to the skies in passenger service. But here's where our story takes an unexpected, almost unbelievable twist. Instead of heading to its new home with Xiamen Airlines, this brand new plane was ordered to fly, not east, but west. West. Back across the vast Pacific, all the way back to America. Imagine the sheer scale of this reversal, an 8.000-kilometer journey in the wrong direction. To put that in perspective, that's further than flying from New York to London, and then almost halfway back. This wasn't a short hop either. The 737 MAX had to make refueling stops in Guam and Hawaii, island paradises that became mere pit stops on this bizarre homecoming mission. Homecoming, but it had never even been home in a commercial sense. It was built in America, yes, but its destiny, its purpose, was to fly for a Chinese airline. This plane, ladies and gentlemen, was essentially being sent back to sender after it was fully prepared for delivery. And this isn't some isolated incident. This is reportedly just one of a batch of 737 MAX aircraft that were dispatched to Boeing's Zhoushan facility for these final touches, specifically for Chinese customers. Now, the million-dollar or perhaps $100 million question is, why? Who pulled the trigger on this unprecedented aviation U-turn? Was it Boeing, the American aerospace giant? Or was it Xiamen Airlines, the intended Chinese operator? Or perhaps, was there a higher power at play? Unseen forces orchestrating this dramatic reversal? Both Xiamen Airlines and Chinese customs authorities are maintaining a stony silence, offering absolutely no comment on this highly unusual event. The silence itself speaks volumes, doesn't it? When no one is talking, it usually means there's a lot to hide, or a lot to protect. To understand the potential undercurrents, we need to rewind a bit to April 15th, when a Bloomberg report dropped a bombshell. According to their sources, Beijing had allegedly instructed Chinese airlines to halt all procurement of aircraft equipment and components from the United States. Stop and think about that for a moment. A complete freeze on buying American aviation products. This isn't just about a few spare parts. This is about entire airplanes, engines, navigation systems, the whole kit and caboodle. The timing is crucial here. This alleged directive came as a direct response to the tariffs imposed by the then administration in Washington. A staggering 145% tariff on Chinese goods. Beijing, not one to back down from a trade fight, retaliated with its own hefty tariffs, slapping a 125% levy on American goods, including, you guessed it, airplanes. Let's break down the economic fallout of these tariffs. Imagine the cost of producing aircraft components in the U.S. suddenly doubling, or more. The 145% and 125% tariffs are not just numbers on paper. They are financial earthquakes shaking the foundations of global trade. For Chinese airlines, already operating in a competitive market, suddenly taking delivery of Boeing aircraft became exponentially more expensive, perhaps prohibitively so. Beijing, aware of the financial squeeze on its airlines, is reportedly considering measures to support those carriers that are leasing Boeing planes and now facing these inflated costs. Think about the domino effect here. Tariffs, increased costs, financial strain on airlines, and then, potentially, canceled orders and planes flying back to where they came from. Before the latest round of tariffs, announced in early April, Boeing was, by all accounts, optimistic about its business prospects in China. China, the world's second-largest aviation market. A market Boeing simply cannot afford to lose. As recently as March, Boeing was confidently sending brand-new 737 MAX aircraft to Zhoushan for completion, fully expecting smooth deliveries to follow. 3 737 MAX made the trip in March alone, a sign of ongoing business and anticipated growth. But then, the trade winds shifted dramatically. Beijing's retaliatory tariffs, reaching a punishing 125% on American airplanes, changed everything overnight. Suddenly, taking delivery of those completed aircraft became, if not impossible, then certainly economically unviable for Chinese airlines. The Zhoushan Completion Center, designed to be a bridge between Boeing and the Chinese market, suddenly found itself in a trade crossfire. Aviation Flights Group, a respected industry analysis firm, estimates that around 10 Boeing 737s were slated for delivery to Chinese carriers like China Southern Airlines, Air China, and Xiamen Airlines. These are major players in the Chinese aviation sector, airlines that rely on Boeing aircraft to expand and modernize their fleets. Furthermore, Boeing reportedly has a backlog of 130 unfilled orders from Chinese airlines and aircraft leasing companies, 130 airplanes, representing billions of dollars in potential revenue, now hanging in the balance. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Industry observers speculate that a significant portion of Boeing's massive order backlog, over 760 undelivered aircraft whose buyers remain undisclosed, could also be destined for China. 760 mystery orders, many of which might be grounded before they even take off. Metaphorically speaking? Now, let's consider Boeing's immediate reaction, or rather, lack thereof. Publicly, they remain calm, almost nonchalant. Returning a completed aircraft might seem like a major setback, but in the short term, it's manageable for a company of Boeing's size. The returned 737 MAX, after all, isn't useless. It can be redirected, reassigned to another customer waiting in line, perhaps an airline in a different part of the world, eager to expand its fleet. So, in the immediate financial quarter, the impact might be minimal, a blip on Boeing's massive radar screen. However, zoom out, take a longer view, and the picture becomes much more concerning for Boeing. China, the world's second-largest aviation market, is not just any market. It's a cornerstone of Boeing's global strategy. Losing, or even significantly curtailing, access to this market is a strategic blow that Boeing simply cannot afford to ignore in the long run. According to Reuters, one of the world's leading news organizations, is highlighting the long-term strategic risk for Boeing. This isn't just about one plane flying back, or even 10 planes. This is about Boeing's future in a market that is projected to become the largest in the world. So, what are the potential conspiracy theories, the unseen forces at play here? Is this purely about trade and tariffs, a straightforward economic retaliation? Or is there something more, something deeper driving this unprecedented aviation about-face? Could this be a strategic move by China to accelerate its own domestic aircraft manufacturing ambitions? China has been investing heavily in its own commercial aircraft industry, most notably through COMAC, the Commercial Aircraft Corporation of China, the C919. COMAC's homegrown competitor to the Boeing 737 and Airbus A320 is slowly but surely entering the market. Could this trade dispute be used as an opportunity for China to bolster its domestic aviation industry, to push its airlines towards domestically produced aircraft, and to reduce reliance on foreign manufacturers like Boeing? It's a long game, a strategic play for self-sufficiency in a critical industry. Another angle to consider, is this a subtle, or not so subtle,